All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's a decision that wasn't easy to make. However, after hearing from students and seeing compelling research from a comprehensive study on the impacts of the name Dixie, the Board of Regents also agreed it was the right move to make.
It does not mean kind, good things to all people. And I want us to be an effective public university, and I want us to mean that we are fair and open-minded, and that is not happening. And I just see that as an impediment. As much as I love my community, I don't think it serves anyone's interest to constantly defend and explain the name, and I've done that my whole life.
We love, revere, we hold close to our heart, our heritage, but as mentioned, that's looking back. And I think that we owe it to the students to be looking forward. And I think that creates a different lens and a different image.
All 18 members of the Utah State Higher Education Board voted unanimously to pass on the recommendation for a Dixie State University name change to the state legislature.
So the legislature named Dixie State University, and the statute says that it shall be known as Dixie State University. So for the name to change, it needs to be a legislative fix. And so all we can do is recommend to the legislature, but it's the legislature that would need to run and pass a change in the law.
The discussions came from talk on campus among students who were feeling a paradigm shift nationwide.
Your name shouldn't be harming you or your students at all. And so when you look at 25% of each population that feel like it's an error, this is a pretty detrimental impact.
It really does come back to how it affects students. I think community members and people in the state of Utah, we may have a dear love for Dixie State, and obviously, the university is not changing. It's simply a rebrand a bit in benefit of the students and their futures. And that's what it all comes down to.
DSU hired Cicero Group to conduct a comprehensive study to find out just what others thought of the name Dixie and the potential impact it has on those inside and out of the state.
Just about every population that we surveyed, at least a quarter of those populations find the term Dixie problematic, and not just problematic in the abstract, but problematic in their behaviors, in their engagement with the institution, in the case of alumni, and problematic in their capacity to obtain jobs.
My daughter is a graduate of Dixie State University, and it was a difficult thing for her when she was there in being in that institution and going outside of the state and telling people where she graduated from and participating in sports there and talking to other student athletes and wherever she traveled to about the connotation of this name, Dixie State University.
Corporations wouldn't carry our apparel anymore. We had sponsors that said, if you change the name, we'll stop supporting you. Others that said, if you don't change the name, we'll stop supporting you. So there was a lot of information coming into us.
Although the cost to change the branding could run into the millions, President Williams reassured that the changes would be worth the costs, especially when it comes to recruitment of new students and past alumni having difficulty finding jobs due to the name Dixie on their resumes.
And yes, it will cost a couple of $1 million to change the letterhead and some signs and things like that. But over time, as the data show, you're really going to lose support, and especially if it gets out that the students can't, obtain employment after they spend tens of thousands of dollars, for their education. That's problematic.
And while the name change won't come easy to past Dixie State alumni, it is something they feel needs to be addressed.
And as for myself, as a girl who went to Dixie High, Dixie College, my mother's name is Dixie. No one can say I don't understand this situation and the emotional tie to this name. But we had to look and say, this isn't about us. It's not really about the community, although we appreciate their support. This is about students, pure and simple. They are the ones affected. Their futures are affected.
Concerns also came up on how not making this change would impact future plans for the college due to the transition into a polytechnic college.
The university needs to correlate with that growth of the community. And this polytechnic model that we've been working on the last 5 years and what we're growing into the next 5 years is going to be imperative to that.
President Williams said he'd like the community to have input on a possible future name.
We would like the permission to, go through a process if this is approved by the legislature to change to involve our community in deciding what that might be.
The name change comes just 5 months after an announcement that Dixie Regional Medical Center announced its plans to change its name to Intermountain St. George Regional Hospital, which takes effect January 1st. From Dixie State University, Melissa Andersen, Community Education News.